What's Twisted?
This is Mark McNeese with my co-host Rick Rose, and you're listening to another edition of The Twist. Welcome to The Twist podcast, everybody. This is Mark on a dreary, rainy day in New Jersey. What's going on where you are, Rick, and where are you?
Oh my God, it's quite beautiful. I'm in Spring Green, Wisconsin, home of House on the Rock, a name that's familiar to you. Went to see a play at the American Players Theater last night. So it's kind of just an hour away from Madison, and it's like super sunny and bright, sorry to tell you.
Well, that's nice. We were supposed to go to Rainbow Mountain next week, but I'm going to try to move it because it's raining all week. It's like rain, and it's bizarre at the end of July to just have all these rainy, not cold days, but next week's going to be chilly. Actually, it's weird.
Yeah, and I know you're not feeling too well. Now it explains that you told me you weren't well, but now it's probably weather related because I couldn't be happier. I was in Louisiana this weekend for a wedding in Lafayette. Congratulations to Heidi and Dalton, by the way, but I got
Congrats.
Yeah, it was cool. But there were, heat indexes, warnings, all that stuff, 110 degrees. I come back here, Mark, it's like 70 degrees. It's just beautiful.
That's perfect. And
you're perfect. And so our listeners are perfect, Mark.
They are. They're devoted, and our numbers are climbing slowly. That's what we like to hear and see. And we're going to be going pretty much weekly. We don't do every week because we're flexible that way. But we're going to be heading back to a weekly show pretty soon, give or take 1 week a month. But and also now that we're talking about it, I've got an ebook to give away to listeners. How is that for fabulous?
That is fabulous. I was thinking about you and all the books you've written over the years. How many so far have you written? Not just in the mystery vein, but in general.
Well, 8 novels, and then short stories and short story collections, and I edited and published an anthology that was a Lambda Literary Award finalist. I won't say more about those awards, but so I'm a super writer person, and I have been since I was a child. I had 6 plays produced. I mean, that's how we met, was in the theater back in L.A.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of directing one of your plays. So what book are you giving away, and how do people win it?
Well, also just quickly so people know, I am feeling under the weather, and I'm starting a new duty tomorrow, not a new job. I'm still in the deli, but I'm there 4 days a week now. I had to leave seafood. And so I'm going to be learning the hot bar, which means I'm going to be timing and frying chicken all day long on Saturday and Sunday, meeting all your fried chicken needs. So I think that's part of my sickness too, because this happens when I get really stressed out about some things in life, and all of a sudden I get sick. Now, have you ever noticed that? Does that happen to you?
Oh yeah, when your body's down, it's logical sense.
My body's down, and I'm not sleeping worth a shit. One thing I'm trying to do about that, I know I'm getting off track, is that I now, for the last 2 days, I turn my iPhone off. I don't just turn the screen off. I shut the phone off in the evening, and I don't turn it on again until I'm completely out of bed and going about my day, because for a long time now, I was laying in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, looking at the goddamn headlines. It's an addiction, and everybody knows that. Our phones are addictions, and I find it to be an incredible drain, and I'm just already getting more things done because I'm not having my energy sucked out by that crap. Now, the book that I'm giving away, because that's where we started, it's called Black Cat White Paws, a Maggie Dahl mystery. It's not a gay mystery. I'm sort of moving outside that genre for now. And it's fabulous. It just came out 2 weeks ago. It's got 16 consecutive 5-star reviews. Maggie Dahl is a recent widow. She and her husband moved from New York City to Lambertville, New Jersey. How coincidental is that? Just like me and Frank. Her husband dies in his sleep from viral myocarditis. I shouldn't say too much about that. But anyways, they started a jam business called Dollhouse Jams. Her name is Dahl, Maggie Dahl, and David Dahl. And so, of course, they came up with this business they wanted to start called Dollhouse Jams, and she has to keep the business running. She has to deal with her sister, Gerri, who is a piece of work, who moves from Philadelphia to be with her, but also to salvage her own wreck of a life. And their neighbor gets killed, and Maggie and Gerri, but especially Maggie, goes about solving the case of her dead neighbor and her neighbor's cat, who is a key part of it. But anyways, it's a fabulous, fabulous book. I'm doing auditions now for the audiobook. That I hope to have that out by October, because it's set at Halloween. I'd love to have the audiobook out in Halloween. And I have 8 ebook Kindle, specifically Kindle editions for our listeners. It's not EPUB, it's not files they have to download. It's actually, you get it on Kindle. I send them a download link and they go straight to Amazon and they download the book. And all they have to do, it's for the first 8 people who email us at thetwistpodcast@outlook.com. It's very, very easy to remember. Send us an email, say ebook giveaway, and the first 8 people will get it just like that. Speaking of Snap, I'm going to talk about Queen Elizabeth, but what do you want to say before that?
I just want to repeat it because that's what you do. Say it, say it a third time, say it a second time.
Do I repeat myself? Is that a gay thing?
No, the Twist Podcast at Outlook.com.
Oh, I thought you meant I thought you meant because I do repeat myself. It's like you know.
Oh, no, super sensitive. No, that's not that. So email us, guys. Win the book. Mark's an awesome writer, but he's even a better podcaster, and that's where his energy and attention has to go these days.
Yeah, and also speaking of podcasting, so everybody knows, you travel a lot, so your audio is always, dependent on where you're at and what your Wi-Fi, this, that, the other thing. So you're a little tinny today, but no big deal. I'll clean it up as best I can in post, and we shall trudge forward or march forward.
All right. I want to start talking about the Queen, but I want to talk about cell phone use because you brought it up. So my first topic is really about cell phone use. It's exploded. In 1986, only 681,000 Americans had a cell phone. Bring that forward 30 years, there are 396 million prescriptions cell phones in the U.S. So just how dangerous are they, to your point? I mean, addiction is one thing, but literally, technically speaking and medically speaking, are they dangerous for you? It's interesting because many other nations have stricter safety rules than the U.S., like France, Germany, Switzerland, India, and Israel. They all have issued guidelines to reduce consumers' exposure to radiation. The problem here in the States is because the U.S. telecommunications industry has not made cell phone usage data available to researchers, we don't know just how dangerous it is. But they assure you it is. I'm just going to end with one comment about it. The typical phone user's level of exposure troubles health officials because cell phone transmitters have to be strong enough to reach a cell phone tower as far away as 22 miles.
Well, that's kind of like where I'm at. Where's the tower? It could be in fucking Flemington, New Jersey.
Well, and the problem, though, is just think of that power and what it's doing. So if you put that power next to your phone, can you only imagine? So they say if you put the cell phone away, like you say, I should use a plug-in microphone, you should keep it away and off once in a while, because it increases the intensity of radiation by 10,000 times when you hold it next to your ear.
That explains so much.
It's scary. It's scary anyway.
Well, not only that, and then I'm glad to hear it though, because I do think it's a horrible addiction. We see it constantly. Everybody's looking at their phones with the thumbs, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened to us? Okay, snap goes the Queen Elizabeth. That's going to be one of our 3. I love my little clickbait headlines, the titles of the show. But Queen Elizabeth, when our president was there recently, a couple of these my items are old. That's okay, no big deal. But she wore a brooch that the Obamas gave her. Now, I don't know if she did that or her dresser did that, because I imagine the Queen of England has a dresser. But somebody put the brooch that Barack and Michelle gave her on her beautiful blue dress when she met Trump, and I just thought that was the most perfect understated royal shade imaginable. I loved it.
Great. Here's one: the Brady Bunch house, which you and I and others definitely know because the show was on as a series for many, many years. I forget the exact years. I do know. I researched that. It was on from September 69 to March of 74, and then move into reruns and syndication. You can't miss the Brady Bunch when you're flipping to the dial. Well, that house in Studio City, Mark, is for sale. $1.8 million. It's in the Colfax Meadows neighborhood of North Hollywood area. It was owned by a family. They bought it back in 73 for $61,000. It's only three bedrooms. But they say what comes with it is the looky-loos. They've had to put up a half-level fence to protect people from coming too close to the house, but they love to have visitors. So they say if you got $1.8 million, you have to have tolerance because I forget what they say. Up to 40 people a day come to still photograph that house.
Now, what do you think about us buying that for the twist, for the podcast, as a giveaway?
I like it, Mark.
We could
but I wouldn't
crowdfund
give
it.
away. Yeah, no. Let's crowdfund it. Let's crowdfund our lives.
Did you ever have the hots? But did you ever have the hots for Dad Brady? What was his name on the show?
Greg Brady?
No, Greg was the son, the father.
Oh, yeah, everyone had the hots for him. What was his name? Mr. Brady. Mike Brady.
Mike Brady, but I didn't like the perm. He went to a perm at one point, and which I didn't think looked good on him. All
gay men go to perms at some point in their lives, Mark.
Well, I've been thinking, no, I haven't. Actually, okay, yeah, it's possible. Dick Cheney, I'm sure you saw this too. Sacha Baron Cohen, I would love to see his show, but we don't have Showtime, and I'm not paying for it. We pay for Netflix. I pay for Amazon Prime. We are not paying for Showtime just to watch this show. But Sacha Baron Cohen, I love, and he's got that new show, Who is America, and it's been all over the news because he bamboozled Sarah Palin. What I loved about that part too was that I read that they took her to the wrong airport and dropped her off.
Oh, I love it.
I just thought that was fabulous.
God.
But he got Dick Cheney to autograph a waterboard kit, which that's my kind of comedy. I love it.
Well, I got some interesting news in the world of cosmetics, talking about the perm. There's a guy with the world's longest fingernails. He finally cut them off after 66 years. Of course, the nails can now be seen at Ripley's Believe It or Not, I think, in New York City. But his hand is firmly clutched. His left hand, he can't open it because the nails were so... I know, it's so gross. I remember as a kid when I looked at the Ripley stuff, I always looked at the woman with the longest nails. This guy hasn't cut his nails for 66 years. They're nasty.
Oh, my God.
Then here's another... I know, it's crazy. Here's another story. A man who has had 90% of his body covered in black ink decided to have his genitals removed because they interfered with the aesthetic enjoyment of his blackened physique. Now, this man was albino. He had some marks left on his body because he's a cancer survivor, so he decided to ink his entire face black, his body black, his eyeballs black. This is a true story. The guy's only 32 years old. He's from Russia. But now, because he can't ink his genitalia or his nipples, I guess it's too dangerous or something, he's decided to have them removed.
Oh.
So now he's at like 100% black. That makes me puke.
Well, you find the most tasteful stories, too. I like that. British woman impaled by an umbrella at the Jersey Shore due to force of wind. All I know is that the wind knocked an umbrella over, and it can get very windy, and it impaled her ankle. It pierced her ankle. But the headline was fun. I mean, it probably wasn't that big a deal, but still, it's a great headline.
I liked it. Let's go to South Korea for a minute.
Let's go.
South Korea's first dog, that would be the President Moon Jae-in's dog. He was adopted last year. He's become the furry face of a campaign to discourage the consumption of dog meat in the country.
Well, I don't, go ahead. No, was there more? Was there more to it?
No, there's a group called the Coexistence of Animal Rights on Earth. They do eat dog meat over in Korea, and they've decided we don't want that. We don't want the reputation of eating it. Dogs are not food. So this dog's name is Tori, and it bears a message under it in all the campaigns that says, I am not food. I'm a dog.
Okay. Well, I have mixed feelings about that because I think I would suggest I would support the campaign because of the stigma, because, so many people think eating dogs is horrible, but we eat all kinds of damn animals. We confine pigs to crates. I mean, we torture the animals we eat in this country, but dogs are cute, so you're not supposed to eat them, but it's okay. Who eats cats? Don't come near my house.
I'm not going. No cat.
No, and no ethnic jokes. Who would buy CIE Denim's $385 upside down jean shorts? Did you see those? It's a pair of shorts that this company made that they're made to look upside down. They're not really upside down, but they're made to look upside down. I don't get it. Do you get it?
No, but this is why I love the twist, because we find these weird topics and headlines that are of interest. I want to check them out, see what they look like.
You could try them on.
Oh, no, I'm going to stand on my head and look at what they look like.
Then it makes sense. Then it makes perfect sense. It's for people who do
the whole world
yoga stands.
Yes. the whole world is better when you're standing on your head.
It
Good
is.
for you. Here's one. This is an interesting story. Beware, folks, when you are going to not eat your dogs, but going to go buy a dog. There was a woman out in New York, in a New York pet store. She signed her lease for this. Well, I gave it away. I blew the punchline, so to speak.
She ate the dog?
She signed. Well, no, she was financing the dog. They were selling her a dog for like $1,800.
Oh, wow.
I guess it was $90, and they said, well, we're the pet zone, and what you do is you just sign here, and you lease. I'm sorry, you make payments like you would a cell phone, you know? But
okay.
And it turns out that she's really paying like $4,300 for it because of the interest, which is fine. But at the end of the 2 years of paying that money at about $180 a month, she finds out that she has to still pay $300 to purchase the animal. She had just leased the dog. So when you're doing this and financing a pet, guys, you're not buying that dog. Read the fine line because you are really leasing that pet. That's
well, I
weird.
was wondering too if after 2 years she was eligible for an upgrade.
Oh, I like that.
She could get
from
a bigger
poodle
dog.
From a toy to a miniature to a standard. I like it.
I like it too. Speaking of dogs and animals, Poop's starring role in the biofuel movement. Now, I'm not surprised by that because we use fertilizer, but apparently in the biofuel movement, there's a great appreciation for feces as part of getting us into biofuels. What do you think? You gonna save yours?
I like it. No, I read about it and I was like, that's nasty.
I was almost late for the podcast because our toilet wouldn't flush. We just got a new toilet, but and sometimes it's like one of those water saving ones. So it doesn't empty the whole tank, and it's just weird. Like sometimes and I got to stand there and like, what is the point of a water efficient toilet that you have to flush 4 times? Tell me that.
Well, speaking of brownies.
Oh yes, I like that connection. And yeah.
The Brownies and Girl Scouts have added 72 new badges. It's a little shakeup intended to help girls and young women take on the world. So there are 12 new badges for the rainbows who are age 5 through 7. I think that's your brownies. No, those are pre-brownies. 18 new badges for brownies who are 7 to 10, on and on and on. But one of the badges that, there's some great badges. Like if you're a rainbow, you can study for a badge in healthy minds and recycling. But if you're a brownie, you can study things like aviation, mindfulness, my rights, and baking.
Mindfulness? Oh my God, please no. Please tell me that's not a badge.
Mindfulness is a badge.
Mindfulness is a badge.
The badge I like for a guide who's between a brownie and a ranger, someone who's 10 to 14 years old, you can win a badge now, very controversial, Mark, for mixology.
Oh, for drinking? Or a DJ's music?
Mixology, like in making a drink, a cocktail. But
oh, that's weird.
Hold on. Only using fruits, juices, herbs, and spices. But
well, that's like training them early.
Weird. Get them started wrong.
But I love the Girl Scouts and the brownies. On a more serious note, there was an article that says these businesses don't want your money if you're LGBT, married or not. And of course, this is where we saw these things going. It's not just, I was pissed off when I saw it because those of us who are, sort of intelligent and have critical thinking, we know that these religious liberty laws are not really about marriage. They're not just out to not sell us, flowers and cater our weddings. They really want to be able to just say, I'm not providing my service to you, period. And so there was a bed and breakfast in Hawaii that had turned away a lesbian couple, had nothing to do with a wedding at all. They had gone there to, I think, for a reunion or something like that. And the B&B owner turned them down. And so it ended up in court. And I believe it was the Hawaiian Supreme Court sided with the couple because it's like, this is discrimination, period. It has nothing to do with religious beliefs, really. And so anyways, these are the things that are going to end up in front of this Supreme Court with Kavanaugh on it, and we're going to see what happens. But I've believed for a long time that, as equality sort of gain momentum, not just marriage equality, but that we would see this kind of thing. They want to be able to, like, in Mississippi, they already passed a law, and Frank and I are never going to Mississippi, where you can be denied services based on religious beliefs that have nothing to do with being or getting married. So we got to keep an eye on this stuff, folks. Did I lose you?
Yeah. No, you didn't lose me. It's a scary thing. Let's get our big topic, because that was a good segue. Can we talk about some serious stuff?
We can, and it is a good segue, because you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. But not that the last topic wasn't serious. It put me more in a serious mode than talking about brownie badges and toilet flushing. Like, go ahead. Yeah.
We had. I had some more. I'll just one more little headline. There's a new game show called Paid Off that's about paying off your student debt. That's where we're at in America.
That's funny but serious. That is crazy.
Now, my topic has to do with what I consider Ryan Murphy's best work. I think it's an important television show that everybody should be watching, but they won't. It's called Pose, P-O-S-E. It's on FX, as a lot of his shows are. And it's fabulous. It's about the ball scene in Harlem in the 1980s. Now, I don't know if you ever saw Paris is Burning, but I did. It was Jenny, I can't remember her last name, but it was a documentary about the ball scene in Harlem in the 1980s. And the ball scene is, of course, where Madonna appropriated voguing and that kind of stuff. But it's brought vividly to life in Pose. And what I love about this show is that there are very few white people in it. It's almost entirely people of color, and that does not just mean black people. It's Hispanics and mixed race, and it's just fabulous. And a lot of the actresses are trans actors. They're not. It's not Jared Leto playing a trans woman or Hilary Swank.
Yeah.
Not to knock them on their performances, but this is a show that where they and was it Jenny Mock? It's one of his co-producer is a trans woman. And obviously, they have gone to great lengths to be authentic and to cast trans actors in trans roles. And the storylines are amazing. It's riveting. And another thing that it does is that it brings to life an era that you and I lived through with AIDS.
Right.
Billy Porter, who is a Broadway actor, he was in Kinky Boots, fabulous. He plays the MC, the ballroom MC. And he's also, he's friends with Blanca, the house mother, and he's amazing. And there was a scene in, I think it was episode 6. It's the first season ended. It's 8 episodes, but I read that there's going to be a second one. But there's a scene in episode 6. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, where Billy Porter, his character's name is Pray Tell, which I love. His boyfriend is in the AIDS ward, and now at the hospital in New York. Maybe it was St. Vincent's. I don't know. It reminded me of the AIDS ward at Kaiser, which you have been to because you came to see Jim when he was dying. And it's so vivid. And that's this scene where he loses his boyfriend, and his boyfriend tells him before he dies, please move on. It was like stunning. I mean, it was a stunning scene. And I thought not only was it important, not only was it powerful for those of us who lived through it, but I thought it was such an important thing for younger people to see, because we've had this conversation a couple years ago about, that our generation is, is moving on. And do young queer people care what we went through? I don't know if they do or not, but if they watch this, they will at least see what we went through. They'll experience it emotionally, and it's an amazing show. I just want to read a couple of the cast members because I think they need to be shouted out to. MJ Rodriguez plays Blanca. She's a house mother. Dominique plays Electra, she's a bitch, man. Billy Porter, astonishing. And my opinion for Evan Peters is in it, and he's been in all of Ryan Murphy's things. He falls in love with India Moore, who I think is the standout on the show. Trans actress. She's got to get an Emmy nomination. If she doesn't, the Emmys are just bullshit, because she is amazing. So watch the show, people. We need more of this kind of thing on television. And I think it's a milestone. So that's my big topic, is that you can find that kind of relevance on TV. And I just hope it gets the audience it deserves.
Yeah, and Murphy's a talented guy, so it's nice to see him turn his attention to this. I will definitely tune in. Now, do you have a quote regarding it? Usually we have
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh gosh, sweetie, I do have
a
quotes.
lot.
No, 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 no. I have 2 quotes. I just pinned them to the back. This is a quote from one of the characters from the show, Lulu Abundance, played by Haley Sahar. She says, "How lucky are we? How lucky are we? We create ourselves." Isn't that great? I mean, what a thing. That should be true for
I like
all of
that.
us. All of us, no matter, even if we're like white bread, boring, whatever we are, we can create ourselves in our lives. I love that. And then this is a quote from Anthony Perkins, the actor from Psycho who passed away from AIDS. He said, "I have learned more about love, selflessness, and human understanding from the people I have met in this great adventure in the world of AIDS than I ever did in the cutthroat, competitive world in which I spent my life." And I find that to be very true, and not just for the cutthroat world of acting in movies, but for the world in general. I mean, what a lesson about humanity it taught us to go through that.
Well, I love both those quotes. Number one, because everyone uses that phrase now, do you, be you, whatever it is. But I love her quote because she's like, we can create who we are. And how wonderful is that? And I love the other quote because it is. I mean, it really says to me, life is more than just our work. Life is more than just meetings that I'm late for right now. I don't give a fuck.
Oh my God, Rick, am I holding you? Am I?
No, I'm not saying it for that reason.
Okay.
No, but I love it. But Anthony Perkins is not in the show, right? I mean, the character's not in the show.
No. He's just. No, that's just a quote that I was looking for because I wanted a quote that had to do with AIDS.
Yeah, no, it's great. So that leads to my topic, which always works. Mark and I, been together 30 years in our friendship and collaboration. So often we do have the same thing weighing on our minds at the same time. This week on Monday, the 22nd International Conference on AIDS in Amsterdam. So my topic is regarding that as well. If you want to follow the conference guides or see photos, you can go online. Just search, conference on AIDS. Some incredible imagery there. The hashtag they're using is AIDS 2008 Live. I encourage you to follow it. They have some heavy-duty topics. One of the topics, of course, they're addressing right now is PrEP. And I want to talk about PrEP briefly as my final comment. And quote, PrEP, of course, is a pill. Some describe it similar to a birth control pill. You should take it daily. It prevents the load of HIV. So basically the idea with PrEP is if you're on PrEP and you take it 7 days a week, PrEP will make you 99% protected from contracting HIV virus. Now, the controversy with PrEP and some of the things they're talking about is accessibility. So PrEP currently is used predominantly, if you look at the demographics, by the white male population in urban centers. If you look at rural communities, I think only 22% of man-to-man practicing people that practice male-to-male sex are on it. It's very low, and that has to do with the price. And because only one pharmaceutical company owns the patent to this, and of course, as we know, when a drug comes out, you're paying for that R&D for a while. But what they're saying, there was a bill passed by Bush years ago that holds his name, that they can go in, the U.S. government, and break that patent and make it available. And they're suggesting that this drug should be available to the community that is affected by HIV, that doesn't have the dollars. That'd be predominantly African-American women. I'm speaking in generalities here, but it needs to be more available than just those that do have the money. A couple issues that come up with it, and I really encourage you guys to dig deeper into it and be part of the conversation, is interestingly enough, Mark, transgender women who are going through their confirmation, the drug interacts with the hormone drugs they're taking, so it becomes ineffective. But many of them still want to be on it. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Another nuance is, even with the rich people, or fortunate, I shouldn't say rich, the people who have the means, many times because they have the insurance benefits to pay for it, those benefits run out after a while. You can use them, you hit your cap in June or July of the year and you can't afford the pharmaceutical anymore, but they still want to, have sex that they feel is safe sex. So there's a danger in that because it kind of stops. The last thing that I think is interesting, a lot of people are suggesting why it hasn't opened up and isn't more available is because the people are using it are are practicing unsafe sex again. And they feel that by using this drug, we've opened up that door to, quote, irresponsibility and what can come of that. It's not just HIV. When you're doing things that probably physically shouldn't happen, you could be creating new strains of viruses or new things. So it's very controversial. Check it out. And my quote actually is from a character in a book, Mark. Jessica Verdi is the writer. It's a book called My Life After Now. It's about a young girl. It's a novel. You'll appreciate it. And she lives in New York City. She was born to two gay men, or adopted by them, or brought in and raised by them. And she contracts HIV. She goes out on a very unhealthy night and ends up contracting HIV. And I love her quote. She says, "That's the point. This healthy feeling time now just feels like a tease. Like I'm in this holding pattern, flying in smooth circles within inside of the airport in super comfortable first class. But I can't enjoy an in-flight movie or free chocolate chip cookies because I know that before the airport is able to make room for us, the plane is going to run out of fuel and we're going to crash land into a fiery, agonizing death."
Wow.
Got pretty intense.
That's a heavy quote. What was the hashtag for the AIDS conference again?
AIDS 2018 live.
Okay. I want to look that up. Thank you for that. It was, powerful stuff to end the show on. I think we'll be back next week because we may be changing our travel plans, but we will discuss that offline. And it's been another great show. Everybody, thank you. Be sure, don't forget about that Kindle book. It's free. All it takes is an email, thetwistpodcast@outlook.com. And we will see you on the next show.
Thanks, guys.